Today we're at this church, as it is called. It's called St. Peter's Church. And in this week's edition of our program, we'll focus on what church is about today, right here in Germany. So stay tuned. It'll be very interesting. When they meet, and they only meet for exhibitions or for particular events, and this particular service that I'll talk about later on a bit, this place is packed. And there's a gentleman that we talked to, and he said that most of the other churches, they had to close down. There is no more interest in attending a service. So those places have been turned into restaurants or maybe funeral homes, you name it. But this is one of the few places that has remained open, and it's been open since 1987 and was completely restored. Took a lot of money, of course, and then they decided not to put in any pews, but just to leave this open space for particular events. And what makes this place really special in the eyes of those people that run it, including the pastor, is the fact that everybody in this city and around this city has a real interest in it. People love what's going on, and I ask about other churches, other pastors, but apparently they all seem to like it. Now, what's really going on here? Let's find out as we enter this church. We just got a chance to talk a bit to one of the staff members here. This church has about, community, whatever, has about 20 full-time staffers, and he was one of them. And he's been with this organization for some 30 years, I believe. So he gave us lots of background information. And what happened was that he said this church, of course, is very different from any other church. It is not a church in the traditional sense. And they don't have any Sunday services. They have one service once a week on a Saturday at 2300, so 11 o'clock, just before midnight. And he said it's always packed. They have about 1,200 people. There's no sermon as such, but there are 3 different, very brief speeches. One of them delivered by the person who pastors this church. And they have a topic, those 3 guys, and this topic then is covered by the other 2 people as well as this pastor from different perspectives, and he is supposed to take the theological perspective. And they invite different people who have something that they would contribute to this topic. For example, it could be a taxi driver, a politician, a so-called celebrity, from the area of sports or show business, and so on. Like, for example, the importance of forgetting about maybe things that happen to you. Anyway, so after this service, then there is a special table. They call it altar 2, and they just place bread, juice, all of that in there. And the idea is that people can take from this table based on their needs. I explicitly asked this gentleman if there was any kind of word given before, but he said no, not at all. The pastor won't say anything, but the people can just take from the bread and take from the wine as they go. And everyone is welcome, everybody can feel free. And this is a place that is frequented by some 500,000 people annually. So it's very popular. And I also asked about the reactions of the, let's say, more traditional churches, and he said they're all fine with it. They think it's a great idea to have this kind of church. Now, perhaps you overheard the speaker in the background a moment ago. There was a recording that was played while I was just talking over there. And it was interesting, we had barely switched off the camera when this recording also finished. And the last word that was said was this. I mean, all of this here is true progress. Now think about that for a moment. True progress. So I've just come out of it again, of this place there. It's called church. And I mean, you really feel devastated. The Bible records that Jesus wept. And when I think about this here, I can't help but know that Jesus must be weeping. Because where is the word? Where is the word? The Bible says that faith comes by hearing. And hearing what? The words of a taxi driver, his thoughts on forgetting or things like that? No. Faith comes by hearing the Word of God. The Word of God. And it's not even present. So as I entered there, I asked, what about all the things that you would expect at a church? Like a cross, maybe. He said, no, we had to take down the cross because the artist that has an exhibition there at the moment apparently wasn't so happy with that. Then, well, what's that all about?
So I decided to look for Christ at some other churches, and this is what I found. Ads for a concert, a box office for tickets, lots of nice postcards that display the beauty of the city and that visitors can buy as they leave the church or church building. Even storybooks and travel guides for kids. There are also skulls like this one and a warm welcome banner as people flock into the building.
So Sean, what are your thoughts after having briefly been to this place called church?
Well, when I was inside, I was reminded of Jesus' words when he was in the temple, saying that my Father's house is a house of prayer. And of course, we know what he did in the temple, turning over the tables and so on and so forth. And I had the impression Jesus would do the same thing here today, because you need to pay money just to enter, and basically they're selling all sorts of merchandise, but not the word. And that's what the people need so desperately. And of course, the figure of the devil in front of the church was very telling as well. So
What? Wait a minute. So there was something in front of the church? What was that?
yeah, it was a sculpture of a boulder whereupon the devil was sitting. And you had people taking photographs there, embracing the devil or standing next to him, posing next to him. And it's quite sad because the people don't really realize that he's a real figure, and what they do is actually very telling because they are of their father, the devil.
Okay, and how did this devil figure get there in the first place?
Well, a sculptor made it in 1999, and he made up a story to go along with it. That's the history.
Okay, and the church was happy then to just put that devil right there in front of their doorstep.
Yep. Seems to be quite a tourist attraction, so I can see why the church from a tourist or money perspective would want such a sculpture there. But of course, that's the last place you would ever expect such a sculpture. Normally.
Indeed.
So friends, Jesus came to set the captives free, but if you look at this, the devil there, and then this looks like a prison really. Tell people, pray for them that they also may be set free.